Can we track spy satellites from our own backyards? You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. This week, Matt and I covered the Black Knight satellite, and in the course of our research, we found some fascinating stuff about the satellites that are orbiting the world now. Here's the thing, space is crowded, especially the neighborhood around Earth. It's just filled with junk. Some of it would be natural stuff, non-man-made. Some of it would be space debris, because for decades, we've just been throwing junk into orbit every time we send something into space. Think about, if you remember those old styrofoam McDonald's hamburger containers and people would just throw them out of the car. That's what we have been doing for decades. This is not a message about pollution. I'm just making this point to say that there is so much stuff up there. And when we talk about the percentage of things up there that are active satellites, here's where it gets tricky. No one knows how many there actually are, or at least no one will admit to an actual number. You'll find differing estimates depending on who you ask, but we couldn't find a single agreed upon number that actually checked out. And this is because a great deal of the information about satellites is classified. When we were looking into the Black Knight satellite, the theories, the rumors, the facts, the misinformation, we discovered that one of the reasons the US Air Force and NASA were so sketchy and secretive when they were talking about the possibility of other satellites is because they were running a spy satellite ring. That's right, even before digital film, this program that was called Discoverer was actually a front for a program called Corona. And what Corona would do is take photographs of land masses of, rivals of the United States at the time. That would be Russia primarily. And they would take these photographs, drop the film from space onto the ground. That's amazing to me. But the point is that for more than 50 years, the United States and other countries have been using spy satellites. These things remain classified. These things often are declassified decades later, but just for an illustration of how secretive this stuff actually is, the National Reconnaissance Office, the place that takes US taxpayer dollars and transforms it into spy satellite programs, didn't officially exist until 1992 when it was declassified. Now, of course, that building and the people who worked there and the spy satellites were still around. The CIA has a series of things called the Keyhole class satellites. Originally, just for some perspective, Corona, when it was still taking these old school pictures and dropping film, Corona could see things that were only 6 feet large from space. And then some of the more recently declassified satellites can see things that are 5 to 6 inches long. Now that's not quite the fidelity needed to see the date on a dime, but it's still pretty amazing. And again, that's just the declassified stuff. But when we talk about spy satellites, what we're talking about is a hard-won learning curve, because a lot of these things will launch, but sometimes, depending on the program, they weren't successful in their launch and they became space debris, or they sent back useless pictures. It might as well have been impressionist art. And they're disposable too, going back to our hamburger container thing, which, now I think really dates us. When's the last time somebody had styrofoam containers at McDonald's? Oh man. These satellites, for a very long time, had a very short lifespan. They would be up in space, and then 2 to 3 months later, they would run out of film. So they're useless, and they're just sort of orbiting. Now that's where we get to answering the question, is it possible for you to go outside, have a stopwatch, maybe some binoculars, and find a spy satellite? The answer is emphatically yes, which is surprising when you think about the billions of dollars people have spent hiding these objects, right? Because let's remember that space is transparent. There's an excellent article you can read about a gentleman named Ted Moulton. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but here's what Ted did. Ted banded together with a bunch of other amateur satellite watchers, and they noticed that they were able to track classified satellites. So in this article by Wired, Ted also relates his chase for a satellite codenamed Misty. And Ted believes that Misty seemed to disappear because an intelligence agency found out that he and other satellite watchers were onto it, so they reprogrammed the orbit. Now, at first, that sounds like science fiction, but a former CIA analyst agrees with Ted that that possibility might exist, and indeed that that would be a good strategy. The important part to take away from this is that you, me, Matt, everybody, we're just a few internet searches away from being able to go outside and track a supposedly classified satellite. And why would we do this? Well, to answer that question, we should probably think about the X-37 class. It's an unmanned space shuttle class. I think there are currently 3 as we record this. They've been sent up into space successfully, and they've returned. And who knows what they're doing? No one. I mean, no one who will talk. So it's often been said that information is the new precious resource, especially in modern warfare. Although there are agreements not to militarize space, there's obviously no enforcement of observation from space. It's perfectly legal. However, there's not any transparency. The things that were declassified, again, very recently, are very old technology. So who knows what's up there right now? That is something they don't want you to know. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. We'd like to return to space to do some more episodes, so please leave us some suggestions if you've got some ideas. In the meantime, if you want to check out one of our other related videos, let us know what you think about that. You can drop us a line on Facebook. You can talk to Matt and I on Twitter. You can always send us an email directly. We are conspiracy@discovery.com. Yes, and next week we will be covering immortality.